GSL Super Tournament Season 2. 2018 GSL Super Tournament Season 2.
We're back! Yes. Finally, we had a long holiday. Both you and I are toasts. We're back to do the Super Tournament, this 4-day marathon. It's going to kick a lot of ass. We've got a lot of great games, a lot of excellent, long best-of-5s coming your ways, guys.
Yeah, this is going to be fantastic. Super Tournament, always one of the best things to do all year long. We get 2 of them, and they are epic indeed. That's why we're starting so early. It's kind of out of the blue. It's kind of at a weird time. So help us spread the word, because this tournament, these next 4 days, will decide the last player for BlizzCon as well.
That's right. We're wrapping it up all here in the next 4 days. Here's our CEO of Africa TV, Kevin. And he says, wow, it's a lot of non-Korean fans down here today. I feel obligated to speak in English. So anyways, these are the last spots here for BlizzCon. I think 2018 StarCraft 2 was a really special year for StarCraft. Stunning results, tons of great esports events. Maru getting the gold medal in the Asia Games. So of course it was a very memorable year. Please keep supporting us. And we're going to have some great games coming up here. Okay, cool. We are going to be hopping into these games pretty quickly, guys, since today should be longer than a normal GSL Codex day. A lot of great games. So we're going to be hopping into this as soon as possible. Artosis, you had a good little break? Some good time off?
No, absolutely. It has been, it was a nice time. I was out of the country for 11 days, I think. And
yeah,
how about yourself?
Me too. It's great. Went to Vietnam, Hong Kong, Macau. I'm back. I'm sick of the real world. I want to get back to talking about computer games.
Yes.
But it was good to unplug for a little bit, get out. And I got to say, man, doing the Super Tournament really is one of my favorite tournaments to do. Just like GSL versus the world, we've got 4 days in a row where we start out, you know, all the players are here, and we just go through each series until we have the winner. It's so different from what we normally do here with Codes. Codes, of course, is great as well, but it's a different format, and it's a unique format where we've got weeks and weeks and weeks where players have to prepare. But to have everybody here together at once and find out right now in this period who's actually the best, and, of course, to decide who goes to BlizzCon, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of cool things going on as well. For instance, I think some of the big stories are who did not qualify. Gumiho Deer Innovation, not in the tournament. Are we going to see any of them at BlizzCon? Probably not, because of this. Deer Innovation, definitely not. And Fantasy made it in, which is just so exciting. Oh my God, one of the greatest Terrans of all time in StarCraft 1 is here in StarCraft 2 now.
So, you need to be here for the next 4 days. Yes. We go on through Friday, Saturday. We're going to wrap this all up on Sunday. Roughly $30,000 US is
on the line.
On the line. Our WCS points. This is everything that's left. Okay, so this is the tournament that is going to sculpt and mold the final components of the World Championship Series at BlizzCon.
In Korea, first off, the non-Korean scene, the WCS circuit already has its 8 players. Korea has 7 of 8. Okay, and just like last year, we had just some crazy fun. Well, hold on. Let's take a look at this real quick, just to let you guys know. Maru and TY were seeded already.
Right.
Important to realize that that's the case. Their points do not matter because they are already both qualified. And there you see, that's our map set. Whatever. But yeah, like last year, right, we had that crazy thing where Rogue had to win to get to BlizzCon, and then he won in Game 7 against Hero, and then won BlizzCon, right? So this is a very important thing. The player who gets in 8th spot in the Korean seedings is as likely to win BlizzCon as 2nd place, to be honest.
Also, we have a lot of giveaways here in the studio. Mouse pads, backpacks, plushies. So definitely stay around and see if your ticket is drawn to win that.
Yes. And kind of a fun bracket. As you can see here, we have most of the people who are fighting for those BlizzCon spots over on the left side of the bracket. We'll see most of them play today, and then Sue tomorrow. And that makes it very exciting indeed. The Fantasy Classic one is one I'm really looking forward to. We're going to see Creator back. He's had a hard time even making it to GSL lately, despite the fact he's on Jin Air Green Wings and is a former top player.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how Creator's going to do. But on to today's matches. We're starting this off with a bang. Maru versus Rogue. I think a lot of people would say this is easy to call Maru, but you really cannot count out Rogue.
Yeah, the people who say that are stupid, actually. There's a decent chance that that's the BlizzCon finals right there. Like, Rogue is the best Korean Zerg, and Maru says the best Zerg, so eat that, Cyril. And Maru is obviously the best Terran in the world, so that is just a redonkulous match. So here we have Gisato.
That's right. This is a guy I think this stream does not get to see very often, but he's one of the other commentators we have out here in Korea. And so what he's going to do, and what we're going to be doing at the same time, is breaking down how this could all turn out as far as WCS points go, who you need to watch for.
Yes. And so we're going to, I guess there'll be some graphics coming up. These are the players that can still make it. Gumiho, Trap, SOS, Sue, and Solar. I'm going to just go ahead and explain this all. Gisato has his own beautiful mind way with thread connecting everything to try to describe this for the Korean viewers. But if you guys want to see, I wrote it all out on my Twitter. It's my pinned tweet, twitter.com/Artosis. I think it's up on top of Reddit right now as well. But anyways, here is basically what it is. Gumiho didn't make it in. So if Trap or SOS win one round, Gumiho doesn't make it to BlizzCon. Yes. Or if Sue wins 2 rounds, he doesn't make it to BlizzCon.
This is what.
Or if Solar makes the finals, Gumiho doesn't make it to BlizzCon. So Gumiho making it to BlizzCon is very unlikely right
This is one of the weird things about the way the points can be distributed. Is it's not just about your own personal achievements. It also matters what the other players manage to accomplish. If they overcloud the success you had earlier on the year, well then it doesn't matter what you did because they're still ahead in points. Even if at this phase of WCS you're not even facing off against each other directly.
Now, these are the 2 players most likely to get the BlizzCon spots. It's Trap and SOS. The problem here for SOS is that Trap is 25 points ahead of him. So basically, SOS has to finish above Trap to make it in. That's a big deal here, and they are on the same side of the bracket. So it's very likely that we will get BlizzCon decided between a PvP between teammates, right? So that's kind of crazy. There are also 2 players that just barely don't make it to BlizzCon like every single year.
One player that you've got to pay a lot of attention to here is SOS. He's the 2-time world champion. Now fighting, trying to get to the world championships. SOS generally does not have the same success he has in, for instance, GSL-related tournaments when you compare it to like what he's done overseas. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he does here today because I do want to see him at the World Finals.
Indeed. They're showing Solar right now, but I'm actually going to talk about Sue first and his chances. Sue has to place 2 rounds higher than SOS and Trap to claim the BlizzCon spot, right? Because he's got a lower prize or a lower placing than them, right? So that's what has to happen for Sue. He needs Trap and SOS to go out early enough, and he needs to go far enough. Now, Solar is the one that is really far off here, except for Gumiho, of course. I already talked about how he is on the brink of elimination in basically every match today. But for Solar to get to BlizzCon, first off, he has to make the finals have a chance. Okay, that's tough. He's on the side of the bracket with a bunch of guys that are practicing their asses off to get to BlizzCon right now. Now, if Trap or SOS also make the finals, it doesn't matter what happens. They advance. Solar doesn't. Well, I guess they can't because they're on the same side as him, so that doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? So that'll come to a head very quickly. If Sue makes the finals against Solar, then the winner goes to BlizzCon. So that means Solar goes to BlizzCon because Sue doesn't win tournaments. So Solar basically needs to go super duper far to be able to make it. So there you have it. It's exciting. As each match is played, I will just update as to who's eliminated and who's still in.
So Maru, the person that seems to win everything GSL Code S related, is here now. And we're going to start this out with a match that I think normally if Maru was playing at the start of a tournament, you would say he advances no matter what. But Rogue, the defending world champion, is here to stand in his way. And even though Maru has basically managed to to trump everybody who stood in his way except for Cyril and the GSL versus the world.
Yeah.
Cyril, an incredible Zerg. Rogue, an incredible Zerg. The two best Zergs, basically, that we have right now in StarCraft 2.
Yes.
Also, these guys, teammates, so there's an interesting factor there as well. By the way,
tournament is almost all generic Green Wings. The only Kira didn't make it in. We have Maru and Rogue, we have Trap and SOS, and we have Creator.
It's weird because the freelance players have had a lot of success, and it's proven that you don't have to be on a major sponsor team. But guess who's got the best players right now? The major sponsor team. At least out here.
If you look at Korean tournaments...
With Korean sponsors, I should say. These guys also have sponsors in some cases. But
in the last 2 years, Gen Air Green Wings has basically won or been in the finals of every single tournament.
Yeah. They're getting a bang for their buck here with these players.
They really, really, really are.
So we're going to start this off on Dreamcatcher. Again, these two players have spent so much time practicing, helping each other prepare for matches against other players. So much time talking about their own philosophies and theories and views and strategies when it comes to the game and how to approach it. So whenever you have two players this good who are teammates, there may be mind games that it may take us a little bit longer to pick up on. A lot of bluffs, a lot of playing around the way the other player thinks they're going to play, but then they know that, so maybe they try to play around that.
Yeah, that definitely those are all things that can happen, and definitely in this matchup specifically, right? There's a lot of ways to block Zerg scouting. Unless they want to get something like Quick Overlord speed. And of course, anything that you spend extra money on, anything you lose extra in the early game, is going to let Maru beat you more easily. So this is a great match. This should be, this is very possibly BlizzCon Finals, what we're going to watch here. You can't really get a better match than Maru Rogue.
No, not really.
Can you name
not
two
with Korean
matches
versus
better?
Korean?
Yeah.
Well, Maru versus TY, I'm okay with that, but we just had that.
Great. That was great.
That's old hat. Let's see what happens with these two guys. Keep in mind, Maru's been proxying a lot. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case in this game, but we keep saying it won't be the case in these games with Maru. And then he does it, so let's leave that window open. Our game's loaded up. Let's do this. Game 1, Maru versus Rogue. I thought we were going to jump into game already, I thought I had it timed out perfectly. We're a Tether broadcast. We try.
Season 2, round of 16, match 1.
You see what I see.
Okay, so it's just going to happen again.
This intro that they have doesn't really work well with Maru.
Yeah.
Because he just proxies every game. When you said Maru proxies a lot, I wanted to interrupt you and just say, well, that's the understatement of the century.
Yeah.
Maru
that's
only almost the only thing he does nowadays.
Well, he's going to open up with this right away. I don't believe the Overlord is... Actually, I think the Overlord might just barely be in the scouting path. The angles are kind of funny with this.
Yeah, this is
3D game, but
you can see the shift click. This Overlord is specifically looking for this.
Here we go.
And the thing is, Rogue will know all the different locations that Maru normally uses, but even if you scout it, it doesn't mean that you stop it.
Yeah, this is one of the strange things about Maru's play is the general RTS theory would say that if you take the risk and do the rush, then you are going to... by the way, really good job here hiding the Overlord so it doesn't get seen.
Very important.
Thanks for coming down, guys. From the Netherlands. But again, you take the risk. Normally, you get punished if it's spotted. Not the case with Maru so far.
Lots of excitement here.
People from everywhere. California, excellent.
Yeah, we really do have a lot of non-Koreans here. By the way, I do want to point out what we already saw. God, we're really showing a lot. We actually have a really packed audience today. I want to point out something, and this is something that Rogue does a lot. He canceled his gas as soon as he saw this, which I really, really like. That's something he has done a lot in the past against Proxy Racks. So right now, just kind of kiting with these drones. If anyone's going to be able to hold on against this, it is going to be him.
Interesting to see the exact number of drones Rogue pulls.
Yeah.
You guys have been dealing with this on the ladder. That's exactly the right amount that you want to have there to try to hold that if Rogue's doing it.
Yeah.
So he's starting to edge in here. One drone, banking around the hatchery is not shot down.
Yeah. This has been very good so far, but he's got to be scared of this finishing.
He may have delayed the bunker long enough. Lings can actually get in the way here. The one SCV has not gone down just yet.
He gets the SCV, and the other one gets it as well. So far, so good for Rogue. He's about to have a spine up as well. Of course, you need more than just a spine. It takes a long time to reburrow. Those Marines could take it out.
He's going to try to come forward. Queen pops out at a very ideal moment here to try to drive back these Marines. The Marines are shuffling. The numbers are dropping, and I think with the spine up there, that's basically the end of the rush. Now, again, as we said before, Normally we think that when a proxy rush is denied, the player that did the proxy rush is in a losing position. But Maru seems to be able to somehow take this weird circumstance and take it to his advantage. He kills the Overlord. He's got a command center. There's still Marines that are out that can go back and defend. And I think one of the key components to this proxy rush, specifically with the double racks, because there's a lot of different proxy rushes, which is one of the reasons why this is strong overall. But one of the reasons why this is strong, specifically with a build like this, is that Maru takes the barracks and floats it over the Zerg's main.
Yeah, it's a really nice thing that he gets to see.
Scouts.
It's not like you can just be like, I'm going to do a Ravager rush now, because he's going to see it.
Yeah.
There's no issue here. He gets a full scout off. This barracks doesn't matter that much to him.
And look at this. The second barracks, while it is eventually going to go back home to where Maru's main is, he uses that to clean out the Overlords on the map. So it's kind of this funny thing where, okay, I didn't win the game with that. Well, let's go another route where I take out 2 Overlords, and I basically have map hacks where I get to see what your tech is.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how much he was able to get done, despite the fact that was the best hold that we have seen against Maru's 2 racks, where the barracks both finished. Like, we haven't seen a stronger hold than that, right? He canceled the gas. He had 7 drones. He only lost 2. He got the spine out. He timed him with the queen popping out and the lings. Like, it was a perfect hold, basically.
By the way, even though Maru's still in pretty good shape, I just do want to point out, for people trying to learn, you see the exact number of drones that Rogue had pulled there, and when he took the next wave of drones, that's like the perfect hold for that.
Yeah.
If you've ever struggled with that before online, well, he kind of showed you at least how to manage it. And I guess the next thing would be to try to hide your Overlords after that, since you know it's going to be inevitable that the Overlords are going to be picked off there as well.
Well, that gives him a completely open map to zoom across here with his medevac. But look at this. Rogue already has 2 queens in position.
There's a blind spot, though.
Yeah, he has a spine, though, already. So, like, you couldn't have been more ready than Rogue was. Rogue is so prepared right now. It's crazy.
This is really going to test the limits of this style of play here with Terran. One Hellion actually taken out here. He needs to get this medevac out and right away. So the Hellion is a good diversion there. I don't think he's going to get any kills on this, right?
Looks like 4 drones total end up going down. I think that Rogue is still all right here. He is getting that 3rd base going, getting his creep spread, as they say.
Yes. As they say.
As they say. Yeah. Who's they?
Yeah.
When I say they, I mean me and Nick.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Okay, we have several more Lings coming out for a little bit here. A Roach Warren coming. Ling speed is just now done, which means Hellions, there's a little bit more risk involved if you are on creep especially. But look at the harass here. 1 Raven comes out knowing the Queens are going to be there to try to fight off the Hellions. He has the option for an auto turret.
Oh, the Ling's very much ready right there. We're in that pouncing position and do surround a Hellion. Auto turret doesn't look like it's going to get too much done. Just a little bit of damaging going on. Maybe a couple Lings picked off.
It's kind of incredible, though, that Maru gets his expansion up. The game seems to be fairly even overall. I mean, Rogue has a little bit more workers, but honestly, the pressure that's been put on here by Maru, had Rogue handled any of these moments incorrectly, ooh, wow.
Yeah, his lead would be
tremendous, yeah.
It would be. But that shows you that, Rogue has had a couple disappointing tournaments, in my opinion. I was really sad with how he played in GSL versus the World versus Innovation. I thought that was really lackluster. This last GSL, we didn't really see Rogue at his finest either.
Yeah.
But, I'm keeping true to my word. I will always predict Rogue to win every tournament, and I think that even with this opening that we've seen against Maru and the fact that he's got this very tough bracket right now, I still kind of see him as a favorite here,
Okay, so Stim's done. Terran's going to now move out here. It looks as though, just from the path Maru's taking, he might try to hit the right side of this 12 o'clock base and start trying to push in here from there. Now, Maru's very crafty when it comes to these attacks. This is, at this point in time, fairly predictable, but hiding the 2 tanks inside the medevac and then dropping them out and beginning the push. This was, I think, something that started, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. It was pretty big, and it's kind of stayed in the meta. Abusing, for instance, this ridge over here, how are you easily going to hit those tanks without being also hit by Stim Marines? And of course, with good control, the Stim Marines can basically retract from the position and back off. Okay, so the Banelings are coming down. Now, they're not speed Banes. Really good use of auto turret there to try to fight the tanks. This actually between that and the hits there on the banelings with the siege tanks, I think this expansion might actually fall.
Yeah, this is pretty rough right now. Ooh. And I mean, it's not just the expansion that's here either. It's that Hydralisk Den and that Baneling Nest. And things like Baneling speed getting canceled would be gigantic as well.
But it seems like he wants to actually rotate around here. Now he should be careful not to overstay his welcome. There's not enough medevacs to really pick up everything. You know, this is really intelligent. Leaving those tanks out there in the front with the option to soak up Baneling hits is actually exactly what Terran would want. The tanks basically served their purpose when they took out the hatchery, but what Maru's doing is he's getting equity out of them just from another angle.
Maru's just so good at every aspect of this game.
Yeah.
It's really, it's getting kind of insane because I feel like Rogue hasn't done any wrong moves yet. I feel like he's playing super well at the moment. It seems like his choices have been really nice, his micro, his decision-making. But Maru is just kind of having his way with him at the moment.
Yeah, now this expansion, it's very important he keeps this alive. It's the same kind of attack. Again, the 2 tanks behind the ridge. Now, it doesn't look like there's anything to flank here from the side. The Queen certainly can't run off creep down there. We may see Rogue just get broken here.
That's definitely a possibility. These speed Banes trying to get in.
Dude, the splitting is so good. That was like 5 Banes on one Marine.
God. Yeah, and right now he's got a chunk of his army killing another hatchery. This is not even everything.
GG. Maru takes game 1.
Well, I mean, he stopped the double proxy racks very well. The Hellion drop, cut 4 drones, but 4 isn't 8, nor is it 12. So,
as they say.
As they say.
Okay,
I
so
tell you,
again,
when Maru plays, I'm just like, is Zerg supposed to beat Terran? Like, is that supposed to happen? Because I feel like when anyone else plays, I'm like, is Terran supposed to beat Zerg? But he's just so good.
He really is, man. I got a lot more to say about this whole matchup and what Maru's kind of doing to Terran and StarCraft 2 in general. He's really revolutionizing the way that we can see Terran. He's almost, well, here, I'll wait until we're actually in the game because we're moments away from starting this. By the way, guys, game number 2 will be on Lost and Found. This is a best of 5 because it's a super tournament. It's a bracketed format. There's no group stage. It's not like normal GSL Codas where we say, okay, we want to go to the losers match, the winners match, game 5.
When you're out, you're out.
You're out. You're dead. It's like Game of Thrones. You either win or you die.
Yes.
And that's why we kill the losers at the end of these matches, guys.
Man.
No, they fall through a floor into a pit of alligators.
Well, Maru would probably be fine with that.
Yeah,
he'd
he'd be
I'm
fine.
a little bit behind down here, but then he kills all the alligators eventually.
Yeah, he stims, and I'm like, oh, well, that was really good training with the alligators.
You mech against alligators. I mean, what are they going to do? They can't spread quickly.
You can proxy alligators that can't scout that fast. Especially when you rush them if you go in zigzags. Their tails are heavy. They can't move that fast.
That's right. It's just a different type of micro.
GSL Super Tournament. Season
their
2.
Tails are heavy.
Round of 16.
Yeah, you know if you're chased by a crocodile or an alligator, you're supposed to like not run in a straight line, but go back and forth.
I know that, but does that have anything to do with their tails being heavy?
As far as I'm concerned, it does.
So if I cut the tail off an alligator, it's the ultimate weapon is what you're saying.
Some scientist is tweeting me right now. I'm like, shut up, nerd. What's your ladder rank? He's like, what? Okay, so the SCVs are coming out. One SCV this time, excuse me.
Only one?
So it's a different kind of proxy. And this is what I wanted to hit on, but I want to wait until we were past this whole intro thing.
Okay.
And this fits in perfectly because he's proxying again. So we've been we've been RTS people Artosis for over 20 years. We were playing RTS games. You were playing RTS games before StarCraft 1, right? I was playing Warcraft 2. Yeah, okay. Command and Conquer, stuff like that. So there's been a lot of general themes that if you play RTS for long enough, this genre for long enough, you can kind of follow these rules, right? If you're making a rush, you're attacking in, then you're sacrificing something. If that doesn't work out, then you get punished. Well, in the last few months, what Maru's been doing is showing that, in fact, at least with Terran in StarCraft 2, you can do crazy rushes and then pull back and have a series of methods, whether it's like medevacs dropping, using the Raven like we saw in that last game to keep the Queens honest, to keep the Zerg pinned and then go into a macro game and still win with a push. In some ways, Maru is telling us he doesn't see a real incentive to just try to go for a quick command center when he can come in here with the fireworks out right away like we're seeing now. And what's crazy about this, the craziest part of all, is that not all rushes are made equal.
Yeah.
So sometimes the Zerg may assume that this proxy is in fact really severe. You can see, by the way, this proxy already different with the Reaper coming out. The Zerg may overreact or respond incorrectly. If the Zerg or even the Protoss or the Terran scout the Terran main and see the lack of buildings, that still does not specify what kind of rush it is.
Yeah.
Which is one of the problems that it seems like the defending race is having to deal with in this situation.
Yeah, and you know what? It's really interesting you bring this up, too, because I've talked about this sometimes to people where, let's see, so what you said, like, we're kind of, like, steered towards certain things over time in RTS. Like, when an RTS game is new, attacking strategies should be the strongest for a while.
For a little bit.
You gain more information while you do it. It takes a long time, basically, to grind out, oh, okay, against this type of attack, this is what you have to do as the defensive player to hold it correctly, right? It's easier to get those wins as the attacker. And every RTS over time finds a happy medium where it's like, okay, this is what standard macro play is. And, you know, if you get really good at it, you generally hold everything, and the games then turn more macro-based, and then games get a little bit more greedy, and then rushes come back in. And there's a small cycle there, but
sure,
generally it's more, it goes towards faster expansion, things like that. That's like every RTS.
Pretty much.
And Maru has somewhat broken that in StarCraft 2.
Well, the only thing I think that we've ever seen that's come close to this was a period in StarCraft 1 where Protoss has started to realize you could proxy and do all the sorts of other crazy stuff to Terrans, specifically.
Oh, so you mean the last 20 years, basically.
However, it's not been as anywhere near as strong as what we're seeing right now here from Maru. And also, this is extending into all matchups.
Yes.
He's doing it against Protoss. He's doing it against Terran.
The
he's
fact
doing
that
it
he did it against TY is what really blows my mind. And it makes me wonder, because if defensively, as a Terran player, you can't block the proxy and beat him when you are the second best Terran in the world, which TY, I think everyone would basically agree is, then we got to just ask, is this a feature of Terran the race, or is this a feature of Maru the player? Will this ever end? Will the tyranny of Maru proxying you, then beating you in a macro game when you hold it, will the gap close on that?
That's a good question. I mean, I would have to imagine, and we're seeing this drop coming here now, as complex and as many different types of rushes as are available, you would think we would eventually be able to math out all possible rushes. You see this, you know he's probably proxied here, here, or here. You try to just hard counter it. I mean, that's what basically happened to a lot of Protosses that started hiding buildings outside the Terran's bases, is eventually you get somebody like Flash who just goes, no, I just know all these rushes perfectly and I'm going to hold him off. And the Protoss is sitting there with his pants down and all of his buildings are not inside of his base and he dies. But it may take a while before we get to that point in time. But again, the difference between that situation in StarCraft 1 and this situation in StarCraft 2 is this is multi-matchup.
Yeah.
And here we're seeing it in a mirror matchup as well. Well, not in this game, obviously, but in the GSL finals, it was in a mirror matchup, which was even weirder.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what happens if you have two Terran players who are both proxying each other the entire time, right? What is that supposed to look like?
You know, and two different features of StarCraft 2 adds to what Maru's doing here. One is 4-player maps are generally not considered as good as 2-player maps. You know, the counters in StarCraft 2 are a little bit harder. Everything comes a little bit quicker. And 4-player maps are just kind of, they're a little bit weird in StarCraft 2. It's not that we haven't had some good ones. Yeah, I know Whirlwind is a pretty good map. Everyone liked it. That was a long time ago. We see almost no 4-player maps anymore, right? And proxies are harder there because they have to be in the center. They have to be a complete gamut. And then also, like, maps are pretty big. There's a general size that we use for maps where we don't get too much smaller. Like, what's our smallest map right now? Is it Catalyst? Acid Plant, maybe? But those are still pretty big compared. If the map gets too small, it breaks matchups.
Well, yeah, you absolutely cannot have a map that's too small. There's also another problem where if maps are too big, what happens with, like, for instance, if Terran does want to play a standard game, how do they push? Yeah. How does a PvT ever end early in StarCraft 2 on a giant map?
Oh, yeah.
It's just crazy.
Like,
I mean,
can you ever kill a Zerg?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I guess we're trying to find some kind of Goldilocks map to play a lot of these games on. And one of the questions is that a one-on-one map or a 4-player map or 3-player map? I think that you need all of them
and it's just,
in a tournament.
You notice that a lot of the games that we see Maru go for the proxies, people will scout for him and they don't find it because he just randomizes location and the map is too big to scout everywhere.
And then you think of all the different rotations of the maps and the fact that meta can change.
Yeah.
But I digress. We actually have a big attack coming up here, and it looks like Maru's basically held this off with ease.
You know,
I'm sorry, Rogue has basically held this off with ease. Excuse me.
That was good. I was actually really hoping that we could get them to max out before we talked about the actual game going on. But I guess you pulled us back at 7 minutes and 100 supply. But
well, it's a big idea that I really want to grapple with.
Interesting.
We are seeing in this game that Maru's harass so far actually has not really done that much at all, and he doesn't seem to have a lot of muscle on the map. Rogue is actually outgrowing him, both in workers and in army.
Yeah, and the fact that he's already getting his Hydras out and there hasn't really been a whole bunch of damage done to him, this does have to make Maru worry a little bit. It's not like he's going to have some fantastic timing attack coming up. Like, normally what happens, right, once you get into bio and the game kind of stabilizes, you're not going to kill him early, you hit a 2-2 timing attack. And that either works and you kill him, or you hopefully turn around. Like, if you go all the way with it and they wipe it, you're dead, right? But if you turn around, then you can do things like go into your Ghost, get Anti-Brood Lord, whatever you need to do against the Zerg at that point.
Right.
And that's where we get the really long epic games.
Okay, the medevacs are getting shooed away. I think Rogue is actually getting into the state where Rogue is best. Historically with Rogue, he's been the guy that just kind of outgrows the other player, and then he's really good in late game. If you give him all the units that he can use, he's kind of the best at that. Cyril's another great example of that. Cyril, I think, even a little bit more dynamic in that regard, but because he can do a lot of cool early game timings and stuff like that. But Rogue is definitely... He's getting to where he needs to be. He's almost maxed out. Maru will have an inevitable push. I think he's going to be taking that fourth. I think he's actually taking the fourth right now. Yeah, there's a CC floating over there.
Ah, yeah, you're right.
But the creep spread from Rogue is pretty crazy good.
It's interesting here as well, right? He's making Marauders at the moment.
Can I point something out here?
Sure.
Rogue is actually preempting. Now, he didn't get the medevac there, but he basically just preempted. Maru saying, okay, there's no medevacs at the top. Let's just rotate down to the bottom.
Yeah.
In some ways punishing Maru for even being an active player because Rogue's instinct on large maps is so strong.
Now, something I want to mention here, right?
Yes.
We have drilling claws on the way and a third factory being made. So we have a lot of Marauders, Widow Mines, Marines being made. This is something that we have seen before. In fact, I think it might have been last Super Tournament, if I recall correctly, where Maru with the Marine Marauder Widow Mine composition beat Sue's Linkbane Hydra.
Yeah.
And Linkbane Hydra is generally considered a counter to that unit set, but he's choosing to go for this unit set against Rogue. So I'm very interested because we haven't seen it as much lately, right? People go siege tanks, that's generally considered better, and then maybe it goes into late game. But Maru is heavily committing to this. Look at how many Marauders he has. Will he actually be able to do this against Rogue, of all people?
Well, Rogue is dumping a ton of gas into these Banelings, so there's going to be a lot of explosivity, but if these Banelings don't connect and don't do damage, I think Maru's going to have an opening to shove in here and start taking out bases.
Oh my god. Well,
kind of a weird moment there where it was like a chunk of the Banelings were fished out.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm not sure if he actually cleared really enough there.
Yeah.
Looks like still a good amount of Widow Mines here, and of course the Marauders in the front can tank quite a bit.
It almost seems like this is actually very intentional by Rogue to send these little chunks out. I guess he doesn't want too many Widow Mine hits connecting.
Yeah.
And he has the economy back that even if it's not the most efficient way to fight this, he can keep replenishing those Banelings. Now, if you look at the minerals and gas here for Rogue, you'll see just how much of an intense point in the game this is. He's got 2K minerals and 500 gas, so almost all of his gas went to Banelings for the last minute or two there.
Yeah, and he is getting into Ultralysses now.
Correct.
Plating, not done quite yet. He's getting into his Burrow. He's getting his Adrenal. So
what did you say he's getting into his Bros?
Burrow.
Oh, Burrows. I was like,
yeah, something that we've been seeing more and more regularly. Just Burrow.
Being not a bad name for Ultras though. The Bros, man.
The Bros.
He's getting Bros.
It's Bros versus the boys.
Okay, you can see with those upgrades, even Marauders against Slings, the Marauders actually have a little bit of sustainability. Now, in games sort of like what we're seeing pan out now, sometimes even though the Terran never broke the Zerg, kind of like what we saw with that gas dump on all those Banelings, the Zerg isn't actually trading efficiently. And it's death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Because when the game is getting closer and closer to the end, you suddenly realize Zerg doesn't have that much left over here. Now, here's where the real muscle comes out. These ultras are coming forward. Now, the kiting from Maru is the best that you could ever ask for.
Don't forget, the most recent patch definitely did make Marauders much more feasible against Ultralisk.
Correct.
The Widow Mines don't do too bad as far as damage against him as well. And he is on his way to 3-3, so it's still very playable at this point. Maru going up into his Liberator tech as well, getting that Ghost Academy, so he's getting ready for a bit of a switch in his composition.
Okay. Maru, though, seems unable to actually branch out and do anything on either side as Rogue is basically shooing him away. And I got to wonder, I mean, after this point, Artosis, Maru basically has one more base he can realistically take, which is the bottom center, just a little bit to the right of 6 o'clock. That being said, we're actually running out of bases on the map that can be taken overall. We're getting into that super late game situation here.
And it seems like that's going to continue, right? Because it feels like there's a slight edge here for Rogue, but he's playing against Maru, so Maru's not going to die, and he's going to keep doing damage. So that's just kind of the way of things. We did see the Spire come up just moments ago. It should have finished, right? So where he's going to go with this, does he just go direct? Okay, he's getting a second Spire right now while getting Carapace upgrades. That's kind of interesting. Of course, you can get into the Broodlord tech that's generally very good in the late game, but this kind of feels like he's playing a little bit more like Dark, right? He's running around with Ultras, and we might just see him make a big bunch of Corruptors coming up here to help clear out Liberators, help chase down Medivacs as well.
Okay, again, a little skirmish over here and a great denial there on that hatchery. Okay, Maru a little bit preoccupied, though, with the other fight up there at the top. This is very tricky on both sides to be controlling armies in 2 different screen locations.
Absolutely. This is where the game just gets so hectic. Maru chasing these back onto the creep here, trying to get away. I mean, the ghosts are starting to come out. Maru's just finishing up his upgrades. Of course, 3-3 will be finishing here for the Zerglings, Banelings, and Ultras as well.
Okay, Liberators are now out. This is where Terran can actually set up on the map, even sometimes on creep, and sustain. Because you finally have something firing that's not in any way linked to the ground.
Yes.
While still having kind of a siege mechanism in that position.
And, I mean, it definitely helps out. There are some Hydras still out, so they kind of can still fight, but I would say in this situation, you really do need that plume of Corruptors that we were talking about before.
I agree. Occasionally, though, we see this point. Oh, hold on. I think there's actually about to be a big counterattack over here. We're not getting... There it is.
I
Did
mean,
he make planetaries down at the bottom? I think it's just orbitals around that.
Yeah, it looks like just this one.
Okay.
I'm trying to suicide onto it. I don't know about this move, though.
This is actually, I think, quite a blunder, to be honest.
That's kind of a sizable waste there by Rogue, but you know what? He had a lot of supply that he got rid of so he can remake Corruptors, I guess. So, I mean, there's a little bit of a silver lining because he needs those Corruptors right now.
The supply is half full, Artosis.
Yeah. Jeez.
Look, I think that...
Hey.
I have to say, okay, when we're looking at what Maru's doing, Maru and Rogue are kind of playing the same game. Maru wants to try to stamp out bottom right base and top center base, and Rogue just basically needs to try to deny this base that we actually have on camera here now, where the CC hasn't quite landed yet.
That is the point of contention at this point, but look, Rogue is actually flowing up towards that third base location a little bit more.
Lots of starports, Artosis.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It's time.
Big counterattack coming up here. Did Maru divide his army up properly? We have some ghosts over here. They're not going to do that much against this many Banelings.
And every time I see 4 or 5 Banelings run into a Marauder, my heart's breaking a little bit. Going to send a few Banelings down there, but the randomly placed siege tanks doing a pretty decent job of making this as inefficient as really it can be. Like that, the last few attacks that we've seen from Rogue have not been, you know, well, cost efficient. I'm trying to think of a clever way of saying that, but that's just how it is.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Let's see if Maru can keep this going. We are by the way, guys, we are going to get to the point where minerals are going to start running out. They've both been on kind of the same number of bases for a long time. Nobody's really been able to secure any base for long enough to reap the benefits of having it. They basically, at the bare minimum, or maximum, I should say, mine enough minerals to remake that base from the base. So Rogue is going to put a stake in the sand here and say, you cannot attack this 12 o'clock spot. He did a huge gas dump again, all Banelings. He wants to chase this all the way across the map.
Yeah.
And now we're having a shift in where map control is going to go, because I think Maru actually might try to float to the bottom right, which is a much harder position to hold. That or try to push all the way through to the north.
Yeah, I like that he's just made a ton of Banelings as well.
This is smart.
We saw it like earlier in the year where Dark was doing this a lot, where he's like 110 Banelings, and then he just kind of rolled through all the way into the Terran main.
Okay,
maybe
here
we'll see something like that here.
Go! He's coming through now. Now it's some Ghost Marines and Marauders just underneath these Overseers. It seems like the ground army is pretty quickly disappearing, which means the Corruptors over here can take these Liberators out.
Yeah, that turned out pretty well, I guess, overall.
Well, dude, here's what happens, man. When you take all the gas you have and just buy a comical amount of Banes, then Terran really has to actually submit to the amount that you have at that moment to try to fight that head on. Zerg suddenly has a lot of muscle. Now, if you stay back and maybe play a defensive game, I don't know, maybe take that bottom right base. I don't know. This is all getting pretty technical, right?
Yeah,
But Maru decided to pull the trigger and go for it. Now, that being said, even though the attack was held off, all that gas is gone. All those Banelings are dead. He has to remake it. Maybe Maru thinks that if he can rinse and repeat enough times, really all these minerals have been for nothing. Maru's kiting comes out to be more cost efficient. Maybe he breaks them that way?
Yeah, it could be. Like, I kind of like where you're going with that, but, you know, I don't know. I'm so excited right now. This is like a really great game. I feel like we're learning so much about StarCraft 2 is evolving so much right now. Everyone's getting so good, and these new ideas are coming up where it's like, oh, maybe Zerg shouldn't try to be cost efficient with spellcasters. Maybe you go for tempo plays with Banelings or things like that.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to watch a huge growth spurt in the game itself.
Yeah.
Okay, by the way, Maru, has a really good position set up over here. I think Rogue's going to try to come in here and save it. Thinks otherwise, kind of hemming and hawing there just outside of the Liberator range.
That army of Rogue was not made for that. Like, it was too many Ultras, which are really weak against Liberators, whereas the Banelings might do better in this type of situation. Okay, he's going to go for it anyways, and a whole bunch of Ducks there help a bit.
Well, you're seeing the Ultralist number begin to thin out here. Now, there are Corruptors with this. Yeah, I was going to say, with a few snipes, he does clean that up.
Yeah.
Does he have any more snipes to use on these Corruptors?
Well,
Snipe is a funny ability because it can look like the fight's going to go one way, and then a few clicks later, suddenly it's not. So far, Rogue looks to be at least on some level winning this fight, but he did lose a lot of Corruptors there. Maru is still, if you look at the supply, just replenishes pretty easily. There's actually 10 more Liberators on the way. No Marines.
10 more Liberators.
Yeah, there's 10 more. Then
He's building 10 Liberators right now at this moment.
What's funny is you can't guess that Zerg is going to make more Corruptors. You can't guess that Zerg is going to make more Corruptors after winning that fight, right?
Yeah, okay.
But 10 more Liberators coming out here.
Yeah. Wow.
I guess you also have to keep in mind, Zerg probably never really got vision of this part of the bottom left base. He might suspect there's this many starports, but you don't have any confirmation.
Yeah.
So when suddenly...
No, totally.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that will probably surprise you. You know, this can happen in StarCraft sometimes where you're like, wait, I killed all of them. How do you have now 15?
Right.
Like,
It's like I thought...
How often do you actually have 10 Corruptors made at once?
He taps out actually before the Liberators even get there.
But yeah, 10 Liberators. Anyways, Maru is just like too good at this game. You know, I always believe in Rogue. He's so good. He's so strong. But I like don't even know what you're supposed to do to beat Maru. Well, like what does I don't think Rogue knows either. The look on his face, he's like, well, damn. I mean, is this going to be my life now? Is I keep winning and then I hit Maru in tournaments and then my tournament's over?
I feel like we're in the beginning of a post-apocalyptic movie where we're all talking about how Maru could do everything and nobody could stop him.
Do you remember when...
And now it's like Planet of the Apes or something.
Do you remember when that was the case with Bjorn and Reapers? And then Reapers got nerfed like 3 times because of Bjorn? Specifically because of Bjorn. Like, Maru couldn't even do what Bjorn was doing? You remember this?
The only way you can nerf Maru is to make buildings not be able to fly here.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to happen. But it's funny because he really is just doing everything. And if you have no real weakness... You know, he's using all the different unit compositions. Again, that game started out with a proxy. It went into a super late macro game.
And it looked like... I would say that Rogue was ahead at some points.
I'm used to players being like superheroes where it's like, okay, well, this guy's Indiana Jones, but he's afraid of snakes.
Yeah.
This guy's Superman, but what about kryptonite?
Well, Maru
instead,
is Thanos.
Maru's like Superman, but he just is not. Kryptonite doesn't exist.
Yes.
And so it's like, okay, he can fly. He can. Well, he just doesn't die. He has X-ray vision.
I know you haven't watched Infinity War yet, but
I have not.
He's Thanos, okay? And he
Is
has
he
all the power stones. I forget how many it is. It's like 5 or 6 of them.
Okay.
So he has like all these
So he's
magic
like
powers,
Thanos, but he's got like
and he's stronger
9
than the
power
Hulk.
stones.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. He's Thanos then. Again, I'm so used to saying, you talk about Bjorn, right? Well, his micro's so good. Sometimes he gets in fights he shouldn't take, but kind of turns out okay. But, he's more of a micro guy, less of a macro guy. Sometimes his pushes are questionable. I'm just not seeing the weakness here from Maru.
Even a couple seasons of GSL ago, the comparisons start coming up. Like is Maru kind of like a Flash type character, right? Is he a Bonjour now? And, I keep on kind of trying to deny these things, and because I think it's like, well, I mean, you need to dominate for a very long time. First off, to be a Bonjour, which I think we can start to definitely consider Maru as. And obviously, you're going to have to win about 6 times as many championships as he has to catch up to Flash. But you look at the type of play that he is showing us here, where it's like, oh, you're better than everyone at everything.
Yeah, it's
suddenly
just,
it's like,
weird.
It's watching him play remind me of Flash, where I just watch him like, well, he's playing like a different race. Like it's not even he's just much better than everyone from every race at everything. And that's like what it feels like watching Flash a lot of the time, right?
Yeah, it's or I guess another example would have been like Moon in Warcraft 3, where it's just like, okay.
You don't even play like anyone else. You have your own rules.
Nobody really does that, but you can do it, and you have to wonder as well as, okay, what if Maru played Zerg or played Protoss? Would the races look totally different? What's funny too is like this is Maru's breakout year.
Yeah.
I'm used to seeing players. We saw it with Gumio. Oh, cool! This guy's been here the whole time, and he finally won. Congrats!
Yeah.
Maru did it at the start of this year. Wow, that's awesome, Maru. Good luck to you. And now it's we're getting to the twilight of 2018 now, and Maru is looking like an unstoppable force. This is against Rogue, guys. Rogue was the world champion last year.
And he's the Katowice champion. Like,
yes.
He's so good. He's so good.
All right, guys. Game 3's ready. Let's go.
GSL SuperTournament Season 2 Round of 16 Match 1
StarCraft 2 2018.
Indeed.
2 casters, 1 game.
Jin Air Green Wings Maru.
It's not proxy.
Well, that's just crazy. What is he doing? What is he going to make his buildings inside of his base?
That's the weirdest thing he's done all
Wow.
Jin Air Green Wings Rogue.
So we're basically in the upside down world of RTS games. So normally, historically, traditionally, we would say, wow, he's going to proxy this time. That's kind of a good twist because he was macro in the other games. And hey, you got to mix it up. That's why we make these players play more than one game. We get to see more strategies, more play styles. They get to adapt to each other. Instead, it's like, wow, he's going to expand or not proxy. He's going to take a quick gas inside of his main. And, of course, he's proxied every game, so why would he know? Or why would he, assume otherwise? Guys, this is with a great audience down here, by the way. Lots of cool peeps out here. People from all over the world.
Peeps?
Peeps, that's right, man. I'm hip with the kids, Artosis.
Yeah?
Yeah.
When I hear peeps, I can only think of the candy. The
the
most disgusting.
I was going to say probably the worst thing you can ever eat in the whole world.
Yeah. Just so gross. It's like they're covered with yellow sand, but people eat them.
If the alien overlords come and try to take over, we're just going to feed them peeps. They're going to die. They're all going to be gone. That's my world. The world.
It's going to take a few generations.
The aliens came, they took over until they ate our peeps, and now they're dead.
Just about as good a story.
That is the worst ending. They're like, oh yeah, wait, how did they die? It was like just germs?
Yeah.
I'm like, aliens.
They drank the water. They didn't bring water with them. They're like, oh, we'll just drink the water there.
Yeah, we'll just drink the water there, yeah.
The microbes and stuff gave them the worst case of, what do they call that flu that you get when you drink water in a country that has like different microbes in you?
I know what you're talking about.
I forget. It has a name.
Yeah.
It has a Anyways, whatever.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of going to like a, a very exotic country and you go to the food stand and then you have food poisoning for 11 days. Yes. That's what happened to the aliens in War of the Worlds. So.
Well, that's a really old story, so I guess that was a novel idea at the time.
Yeah, I know. We were really beating up on him pretty hard.
Yeah. That poor guy.
What else can we make fun of that's old? Let's make fun of the Odyssey story. The Odyssey? That doesn't make any sense.
Like, well, that one's true, though, right?
Yeah, there was a Cyclops. So, Reaper comes in. And this is, guys, by the way, on a very big map, which is interesting as well. Of course, Terran, a little bit harder to push on a map in a more normal game. He decides to switch it up, and actually, Maru's going to dial it back here. And this is going to be the ultimate test now for Rogue. Because this is kind of the game that Rogue wanted to play, right? This is really what Rogue generally, I mean, this is what he's built his career off of, is playing against Terrans who try to do a little bit of pressure. And Rogue is just growing and growing and growing like The Blob, another movie with a bad ending. Bad story, but you get the idea.
Yeah. That's most of the movies nowadays.
Yeah.
But, look, it's something to mention, by the way, the fact that he did not proxy. When he doesn't proxy, he gets extra power, too. It's like the old saying, the cheesiest thing a cheeser can do is play a macro game.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so unexpected almost. Looks like this didn't really work out that well.
Yeah, this actually was pretty...
Now he
pretty much a
loses his
disaster.
map control almost completely.
Oh.
Look at 10 lings for that. That was great. That was a fantastic hold.
Yeah, nicely done here by Rogue.
Get out of here, Maru.
But does it matter? This is kind of the weird thing about Maru. He's been bending the rules. Been bending StarCraft 2 into a pretzel, as far as we understand it, for just how he approaches the matchup, and what we think matters apparently doesn't. So he puts some pressure on here. Let's see if Maru could still pull off a win here. Because Rogue's growth rate is not going to be curbed anywhere near as quickly. Unless there's nothing here.
Oh, no.
If there's just nothing to defend those drones, and I guess
that's kind of funny,
I will
too.
eat my words, because he had enough to hold this off, but there really wasn't anything there.
He was completely out of position for that one, and 8 drones suddenly dying, and, you look at that and say, well, I guess Maru did all right. Which, by the way, he did finish Cloak, I believe, which almost never happens nowadays. You can't select that quite often, but it's kind of funny to me that those aliens did so much, because they went under an Overlord on their way, so maybe he just missed it or thought maybe they didn't go over there. But either way, some decent damage done, and now with Cloak out and a couple Banshees on the map, we'll see what Maru can get done from there.
Okay. Stim still on the way. Maru's going to be very reliant here on just the Hellions alone. Probably we're going to be trying a little bit more to just take down creep. And here come those 2 Banshees.
By the way, I want to mention that big chunks of this map look like it has creep on it, and it really doesn't.
Yeah, there's something funny about the coloring on this. These darkened areas.
It's like the skin creep on the map.
Yeah. Okay. Now, he cloaked these early on, rather than trying to cloak them right when they get to the base.
Yeah.
But it looks like there's already defense here. Defense might not be enough, though. Queen's barely kept alive.
Oh, you got to kill that queen, don't you? Isn't it worth 3 spore hits to kill that?
No, he better get that extractor instead, or to.
I guess not.
Okay.
He really wants to
transfuse. Touche.
Wow, we should really have that in our voice pack.
Yeah.
Queen, whenever it does it, doesn't go.
Transfuse.
Oh, nice surround.
Okay, guys, this game is going about as well as you could ask for it to go here for Rogue. I mean,
yeah,
Maru's
really
he's been thwarted at every turn.
Seems like only that 8 drone kill moment was what really worked out, but as we've seen from Maru, behind isn't the same thing for him. When Maru's ahead, the game is over. When Maru's equal, he's ahead, and when he's behind, the game is equal.
I like that.
It's actually
That's
it's true.
actually a really good way to put it.
It's a different game that he's playing than the rest of us.
We've had to figure out a different way to commentate Maru's games. A lot of times we say this, and then the opposite happens. We go, okay, well, normally
I made the mistake.
We've been doing this for a long time, guys. I promise you, normally that's how it works.
I'm just going to stop talking about Maru games. I'm not going to predict anything. I'm not going to commentate the fights.
Yeah. The only thing I'm confident in saying is that he's probably going to proxy, and then I get really excited when he doesn't.
Yeah.
Because I get to go to what I think is something I know how to cast.
I feel like I'm just eventually what I'm going to do if Maru keeps this stuff up by the end of next year, when Maru's playing, I'm just going to be reciting haikus about how good he is. And that's going to be my Maru casting.
You know, I really do wonder with the way that he's been playing the game, how much this is just impacting all ladder play. Like, only Blizzard truly knows that, but you have to wonder just how many barracks are actually now just in the middle of the map all the time.
It's a lot.
It's got to be a lot.
It's a lot.
Probably Terran's losing because they don't really get the nuance to it, but still.
Well, that is definitely one part of it. So you can't do it as well as him. Well,
wow,
here he
no
goes.
Overseer here. This is huge. Another 8 kills. Hydra should clean up the rest of this, but still, 8 drones.
Yeah.
Cost efficient there for the Banshees.
Well, they weren't going to do too much else this game, considering it's Lingbane Hydra. So definitely good usage. Getting that 2-2 right now. It looks like the +2 weapon started a little bit late, but another factory on the way. I'll be interested to see if he goes for mostly siege tanks here, or because it looks like the fact that he's getting the vehicle weapons right now, he's starting to siege tank. The second factory is at this particular time. It seems like he's going to go for a 2-2 siege tank push.
You know, Toast, this is really bothering me. This tile set on the map with the creep and the ground looking like it has creep on it.
Yeah,
as the game goes on for longer and longer.
Isn't that funny? Those Hydras are going to be quicker when they walk through the center part, right?
Yeah, I knew what it looked like beforehand, but now that I'm seeing the creep actually just merging totally in here with the map, I'm like, wow, that's really confusing.
Right?
Okay.
It's kind of cool.
Anyways.
Well, the thing is, you might look at that and say, you know, this is confusing for me as a Terran or Protoss player. You know, I think that there's creep everywhere. It's freaking me out. But really, you got to look at it the other way and be like, oh, he's going to overcommit with those Hydras. He's going to be able to get them.
Yeah.
He's going to think they're moving
walk
fast
right off
here.
of it.
Yeah.
Okay, now Maru, in the next phase of this game, is going to be utilizing the medevacs with the Marines to fight. I can't believe he dropped back there, too. I guess he wants to try to get some Bane connects there that maybe aren't cost efficient.
Yeah, I mean, every time a Baneling hits a Marine, you're happy about it.
Right.
It's just when they hit multiple Marines that you're not, so may as well.
So this game, even though it started out quite differently, we're kind of ending up in the same place. We're in a situation here where Rogue definitely has very healthy creep spread. Maru is bunched into a little bit of a corner of the map here. It doesn't appear that Maru is going to be able to break Rogue anytime soon. We'll have to wait and see. We just, before I finish that sentence, had a bunch more Banelings make so that Rogue would have the sustainability to hold off a big push.
This is interesting as well. He just added a second armory, which you definitely don't always see, but is going for that. And he's adding his starports a little bit earlier. He is making the Marauders at the moment, but yeah, he's just the range that Maru has. How he has all these different openers, then he has different ways he goes into it. Right, like we're not seeing the mass Widowmine play here at all. I don't know. It's just how difficult is it to beat Maru?
Okay,
impossible, maybe.
Banelings. This is the moment that Rogue actually wants to assert himself. He wants to smash his position. Now, note the position into the buildings. Going to be very hard for Lings and Banes to get through, but Rogue decides to anyways.
Well, that's a lot of siege tanks he's attacking into buildings as well. The Banelings continue to roll forward.
Oh my god. That SimCity was great.
Rogue's like, damn, I thought that was creep! My units were so slow!
Oh, nice drop over here as well. Things are getting worse and worse. Transfusions go down, but it's not going to be enough, and the hatch is taken out. 2 losses in a row right now for Rogue.
Well, I guess he'll be able to clean up a big chunk of this. Well, I guess he might just get away in the medvac. But the creep spread's still looking pretty strong overall. Rogue still has a lot of supply. He's got great upgrades right now. Starting to get into his hive tech as well.
Let's see if Rogue can try to turn this around by holding off this push.
Well, that's a very small little funnel he's going through. Okay, he does have a little bit of a flanking force. Much more coming in now, so he'll be able to clear this out without too much problem.
Whoa.
Not the most efficient Rogue has been.
I wonder if Rogue can try to push back any further. I guess not, actually. I love the position of these buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the anti-Baneling setup. The Banelings end up having to go in lanes. And of course, siege tanks love that.
It's, yeah, anti-melee just in general. Lings, Banes, Ultras, none of that can attack into there.
It's basically set up so that as they go through that lane, the siege tank shots completely obliterate anything, which gives you a little bit more space to kite back. You know, the filtering mechanism of the building set up like that gives the tanks another volley or two before the connections happen.
Yeah, it's It's just insanely good play and everywhere. It's just like Maru's better at everything than everyone.
Yeah. Stimming coming forward now. Pulling back here. I'm worried for Rogue, man. Some of these attacks, it looks like he should hold this one off.
Well, you keep saying you're worried for him, and then he kills the army. And but the thing is, I'm not going to be like, yeah, he keeps killing these armies, he's going to win this. No, man, I'm smarter than that.
I feel like it's changing the whole way I cast everything in this matchup. Yeah. Well, with this race with Maru playing is, I see the Zerg kill off everything, and I'm like, this is still bad for the Zerg, everyone.
Yeah.
This is not good.
Notice how Maru has 87 SCVs? Yeah.
Rogue's.
Oh, Rogue's in trouble. For sure.
Okay, he comes in here, he takes it another base. Maru's actually grown into the upper left here, too. And I don't really see any opportunity for Zerg to try to hit that, since this attack will go back through that area. It's a funny position where you're kind of attacking and defending based off the location of the expansion itself. Now, this could allow Rogue to try to expand down here towards the bottom right corner of the map, which is what we're seeing happen right now.
Yeah, there's Corruptors on the way right now, so you can start dealing with these Liberators a little bit better.
But what if you don't have depots?
Well, Maru does not even get supply block from that, no problem. Looks like a drop lord on the way. More and more Corruptors. So he's about to have 14 of those things. Definitely will help out a bit. I'm not sure though, man. Like Maru's bank is continuing to go up.
He's balling.
Yeah.
He's continuing to push down now. Now this is actually great.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, that was beautifully done. And there's really not a lot that Maru could have done against that. I think we might just have to focus on this push coming down here in the middle of the map.
Yeah, certainly. Rogue has to clear armies a few times to really feel like he's in a good spot. I like those parasitic bombs a lot. And I like that he's actually continuing to drop off the banelings, because like killing 8-9 SCVs does nothing against an 80 SCV guy, but if you are consistently killing SCVs the entire time,
yeah, this will start to add up.
Yeah, eventually that'll be worth something. One time, nothing. Now those parasitic bombs actually weaken these a decent amount. He's killing them off pretty quickly. Oh my god, I love those blinding clouds actually as well.
Yeah, but
it really
looks
bought
like
a lot of time.
The ground army wins though.
Yeah.
He's going to continue to fight back right now, and it's one of these situations where even if you win one fight, you end up losing the other one.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky like that, but if he can remove all the Liberators with the Corruptors, then the fight goes a lot better for Rogue.
But I see more starports making Artosis.
Well, he's got to get up to his
10 at a time, yeah.
Lucky never 10. See that. 10 Liberators at a time. What world do we live in?
The ghosts are a funny thing in fights like this as well, because any slight overextension by the Zerg, I mean, this has sort of always been true, but it's interesting to see with the mixture of everything else that's happening. Any slight overextension, Snipe just clips off.
Yeah.
A lot of times very high gas value units. Sometimes those units don't get to do any damage before they're killed.
Well, that's where the cost efficiency for Terran just gets so insane. And you know what? I felt like we were starting to get into an area that would counter this a little bit better earlier in the year. Again, we were talking about it in what, game 2 or game 1 with how the mass baneling that like Dark was using. I think we saw Leenock do one game that looked like it. It was popping up, but I wouldn't mind to see something like that tried here. I feel like the problem is when Maru starts getting this many ghosts, the Ultras become so inefficient, and then even the Corruptors become a little bit inefficient if he starts getting the snipes off on those, right?
Only one thing we can do is give Ultras spells Artosis. They become like Warcraft 3 heroes at that point in time.
I think that when an Ultras dies, 8 Zerglings should pop out.
I like it.
Right?
I like it. Just like a Brood Lord?
Yeah, kind of.
I think when an Ultras dies, 8 Banelings should come out, but that's just my opinion. Artosis.
It's like when the Ultras is engaging your army, you're like, well, this is the one time I don't want to kill it.
Yeah. Okay, another attack in here. The kiting is quite good. The Baneling's not able to quite shuffle to the front. They do get up there eventually, though. The splitting, again, very good here. And as that arc branches out far enough, it can then collapse back in on top of the Ultras.
Yeah, these ghosts were just stupid.
I think if we see this center-left expansion go down, and I'm almost 100% certain it will. And then we see the 2 bottom-right bases go down. I think Rogue has to leave the game.
I think that Rogue is getting closer and closer to leaving this game. Like, the efficiency of those ghosts there, like, Ultralisk is a good unit. But when they have this many ghosts, Ultralisk isn't a good unit anymore.
Yeah. We've got to give the Ultra... We just need to make the Ultras into Warcraft 3 heroes, man. Give them an aura.
Gosh, you know what?
What if the Ultra could cast water elementals? Maybe that.
Oh, man.
It has Zerg Bloodlust.
Well, truthfully, if anything's going to be a hero, shouldn't it be the Ghost?
No!
No?
The Ghost? You can't... Oh,
Yeah.
GG.
Anticlimactic there at the
All
end.
right.
But yeah, I mean, it's the one
you
killing
watch,
everything.
That's going to go in the BlizzCon highlight reel when Maru beats Rogan. It's just going to have our voice. I go, wait, what did you say before?
Shouldn't the Ghost
Should
be
the
the one
Ghost
that's
be a hero? And I'm like, no! And people are like, what are they talking about? It's why you don't ever want to use, for those BlizzCon highlight reels, you never want to use what we're saying.
No.
We might have missed the mark.
You have to go back to 2015 and find a Nathanius quote.
That's right.
Now, Rogue just got 3-0'd by Maru. We have to expect that Maru's going to win the tournament at this point.
This is the...
It was stupid because, like, all the games, like, he held the Bunker Rush as well as you can, and then, like, you got into mass Lingbane Hydra in Game 2. In this game, like, he was looking good. Maru didn't even proxy. Nah, none of that matters. Maru's too good, I guess.
Yeah, this is
If Rogue's on the other side of the bracket, he's in the finals and this happens. So let's just be happy that's not the case, right?
This is Maru's hungry hippo year of WCS points, just taking everything. We were talking earlier about, who's going to advance? Actually, we're out of time. We'll go to a break, and we'll expand on that idea when we come back here at the GSL Super Tournament.